So, for instance, the young man that came through that overdosed, I think his name is Jaden, something like that. So, in the beauty of the younger generation, what I love about the younger generation is that they are learning the capacity, or have the capacity, to truly unconditionally love and acceptance of others. And so we are one consciousness. It's just that we don't recognize that. These are my life lessons. This is a hard place to be. It is the hardest place, but it's also the greatest of lessons. And like I was saying, pain is my best motivator for change.
How can people be more in relationship with the people who have passed on in their lives?
And that his mom will be listening. So I'll be anxious to hear, and if she does write you, just please to say that, he left the message of love, that he's okay. And so we do it all the time. We just don't recognize it. Or we're sitting next to our loved one and go, what's wrong? Something's wrong. I didn't tell you anything was wrong. I know something's wrong. We're communicating energetically. We just don't recognize it as that. The same way I was and you were, and but because they have something different, like, I don't know, like maybe they have autism, there's something different, and it works itself out always. But I'm so busy trying to figure out what it's supposed to look like, because that makes me feel safe, but it's not.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Transformation to Expansion. I'm your host, Joelle Bradley, and today we have Susan Grau on the show.
So just be right where you are. And I think that's the most healing thing we can offer people who are shut down from the experience at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Their minds can't go there. When my mom, so both my brothers and my mother died by suicide. And I could not conceptualize my mother's death. I had already lost 2 brothers and 2 friends to suicide. I could not conceptualize it. Mm-hmm. And so I completely shut down. You wouldn't even have known I was feeling. And I didn't know I was feeling. But it took me to my knees. I tried to control it. And it ultimately controlled me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know if I'd ever get back up. It was that painful. So if I'm... But people who saw me thought, oh, she's so brave. She's so strong. Was she close to her mom? I was extremely close to my mom. All these thoughts were going on that weren't truth, because they didn't know how to handle. So what I teach people is how to treat people when they're in grief, which is to let them be right where they are.
So, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I mean, it did. And even,
I hope that answered.
With this cousin, I just check in with her every once in a while. Hey, you good? What's going on? Just let me know. That's it. Just making sure that at least she knows that I'm there for her. Yeah, because I love that. Like you said, like everybody processes it differently, and in their own way and in their own time. And that's something that I've come to know, not just about grieving, but with healing too. This is like one of the biggest lessons I'm learning right now, is that, everybody's here to experience life. Everybody is here to learn and to expand. They're doing this in their own way, and everybody is ultimately going to heal, but they're going to do it in their own way. And it may not even look, it may not even look the same way that, you or me are healing. Right. And so, when it comes to like our healing journey, and especially because a lot of people who do heal, they get to the space, they're like, oh, well, if I can do it, anybody can do it. My parents can do it. My brother can, my sibling, my cousins, my friends, everybody can. It's easy. Let's just share the love, right? And right?
Yeah.
You already know. So we get to this point where we're like, yeah, let's just share everything, that it's like, nah, like some people are not ready to heal. But I think really what it is they need to do it in their own way.
If you really truly love someone, you respect exactly where they are in any situation. When you are healthy, and that's the goal. It doesn't mean we don't question things, because we all do. We have a mind, it questions. But when we're healthy, we accept people and we meet them right where they are. So when I do grief work, which I do every day as a medium, I'm dealing with the most horrific of circumstances. And I have to know enough about grief to know right where they are, so that I'm meeting them there, and I'm not pulling them out of it or shocking their system or giving them information that would cause extreme damage. You know, you have to understand it. And this is the thing that confuses me, is all of us are going to have grief in our life and know people who are, that we love and care about. And yet
Mm-hmm.
none of us study it and really know it. So I always tell people, if you want to be of love to other people, learn about grief. It's such a scary concept because that means it could come to us. Well, guess what? It's going to. We made a contract before we came here that we would leave here. We already knew this
Mm-hmm.
wasn't forever, but our mind wants to block that and tell us, like, how often do you think about that, right? Our mind,
Mm-hmm.
our mind doesn't want to think about that, which is fine, but recognize that we're all going to experience it, one on one side or the other, maybe both. you know. So, and there's different kinds of grief. We've been grieving since the day we were born. If you think about it, you come out of the womb, you're crying, you're grieving, you're not in your mommy's womb anymore. I mean, what the heck's going on here? And then you get wrapped in that blanket of love and everything's fine. And it's the same thing when you cross over, you grieve and you're afraid, and then you get wrapped in a blanket of love and you're fine. But we grieve over our bottles being taken away. We grieve over our diapers being removed. We grieve over, where's my bee? Where's my blankie?
Mm-hmm.
All our whole lives, and they're small griefs, but to that person at that moment, to those children at that moment, they are not small. And to us who have been in this world a long time, that appears to be a small grief, but it's
Mm-hmm.
true grief. And then there's, loss, which is what I consider to be the largest of griefs, and believe it or not, our soul already knows how to do it. So we don't have to try to force it or judge it. Our soul already knows how. It's already done it enough times throughout our journey, small and large.
This is random, so this is just a random question.
Right.
But your brothers and your mom moved on. Have they helped you with the work that you do now? Since you're a medium, I'm assuming that you have like connected with them. Um, have you been? Do they help you with the work that you do, or?
I know that my mom does, and one of
Okay.
my brothers.
Okay.
My father's on the other side also. He doesn't really help, to my knowledge, and my other brother doesn't really help, to my knowledge. Um, but my one brother and my mom helped me tremendously, especially my brother.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom kind of helps me protect myself because I'm a giver, and my mom will be like, don't trust that person, and I hear it from her. It's really bizarre. Don't trust that person, and I go,
Mm-hmm.
why? And then it ends up being, right. So I've got to learn to listen. But yeah, they do help me, and they make it more expansive for me. They give me information that maybe I wouldn't receive on my own. Mediumship is a really hard business, and it is a business. It's a business of healing. I don't mean business money. It's a
Mm-hmm.
bit. It can be, but it's a business of healing, and our job is to help people heal and to understand that they are not left behind. They are not alone. That their loved ones are around them and with them and go through them, but they're not reading our minds, and they're not, watching private things. They're not interested in that. What they're interested in is the love. They're not interested. They've already had the human experience. They're really not interested in that. They're interested in the connection of love with you. And the same way that your love is so strong that you want them in your life still, they feel the same way. Why we think that cuts off for them is kind of confusing to me. They want to feel you in their life too. They want to be near you too. That doesn't cut off because their bodies have left. Love is no more than you cut it off because their body left.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to take in, I know, but it's so true. So they're always trying to reach us. They love it. People ask me, am I disturbing them? And I can't help but laugh because I think quite the opposite. It disturbs them
Mm-hmm.
when you don't try to reach out to them and you just end the relationship. And they're over here going, hey, I'm here. My love didn't die any more than yours did. Why do you think I'm any different? I have the same soul you do, my friend. I'm still wanting to be with you and around you. And so it doesn't die, but we get this idea in our heads that, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't understand why we do that. They don't. And I think it's a defense mechanism for us, because if we walked around seeing spirits every single day, all the time, which I did at some point in my life, it's very overwhelming.
So, have you ever felt like you're meant for more? You're here for a reason. Something inside of you knows that there's more. There's more purpose, there's more connection, there's more fulfillment, there's more love to be enjoyed in this life. What if all of that was here right now? Your life easier to navigate, your dreams easier to manifest. You can live in a life of ease, even in these uncertain times with Pluto being in Aquarius. Your community of expansion is right here at your fingertips. From the moment you enter, you feel the sense of release and comfort. No more wondering if all those downloads you got as a kid were just random thoughts. No more wondering that time you had telepathy, thinking that it was just a fluke. Be with the people you know are here for you. Join our ever-expanding community on Patreon for free. And for those of you who ask, yes, the Wellness Library is included. I love y'all so much. Let's get back to the show. Peace.
Yeah, and you really see them though. I know me, I'll see not, I didn't want to say glimpses. It's like I'll see a shadow, I know I do like receive telepathically, but for me, I think there's still a part of me that doesn't trust everything that I'm hearing. And so like I think that's a whole process that I have to go through at some point. I'm not really trying to I'm letting the pavers lay down the road for me.
That's a good idea. There's ways to work it and learn. There's a 3-step thing I do. It's awareness, acceptance, and action. We become aware that something's changed in the room. My hair stands on end. I get goosebumps, whatever that awareness is. And they become aware. We've become aware. And then we accept, oh, something's in this room. I can feel it. I know something's in this room. And they realize that we've accepted it. And then the action is just trust. I'm going to trust what I just heard, experienced, felt is someone who wants to reach out to me. And if you can get yourself to those 3 stages, you actually can get closer to them than ever before. It's not as difficult as we make it. Is it easy? No, but it's simple. It's not difficult. It's just not easy. And, for me, clicking into them has just always been there. I don't know how to describe it. And there are times when I turn it down, like when I'm in my intellect and being analytical, it's really hard because I'm in my brain and it shuts off that area. But when I'm in my soul space, it flows easily.
I think every woman is going to go through this, within this lifetime, probably for the next couple generations, because we are coming from a very we're patriarchal society. Even now,
Yes.
people feel patriarchal. So we're taught to lean on your logic. If you want to succeed, you have to lean on your logic. You have to do things logic, think things through.
We're in a broken society. We're in a broken society.
Yeah.
If people knew, if people understood the love, the pure, unconditional love that we have the ability to feel, they would treat people better. And if they understood that the spirit world is paying attention, they would do it differently. But they don't understand it. And that's convenient, isn't it? It's convenient. So many people are treated less than or not good enough, or there's something wrong. They were created in the eyes of spirit. The same way I was and you were, and but because they have something different, like I don't know, like maybe they have autism, there's something different. They are put in a category somehow, and spirit's just screaming. We are all in like of them, all of us. And so, when I think about that, I sometimes people are broken in their minds here, and I have to move away from them. I have to back away. Maybe they've gotten addictive quality, or they're mean, whatever it is, but I know that's not their soul. But that doesn't mean that I'm stepping into it. I just can be in immediate forgiveness and know that their soul is good. It's just the rest of them that's messed up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting how we view things and people, places, things, situations. And if we only knew, you know, the love that they pour into each and every one of us on a daily basis, and that includes our loved ones on the other side, they pour that love into us also. They would do it differently, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, I've been called like the past 2 years to get more connected with my ancestors. I should definitely do a lot more work. I'll admit. I'll admit. Like, I mean, right now, you know, I put flowers. I try to put some white flowers. I always do like good smelling flowers too. I think because personally, I do like flowers that smell really good, but I think part of me also hopes that like they can smell it, you know, up in heaven. Um, but yeah, but just I love that being in like conversation and being in relationship with our ancestors, with our loved ones. How can people be more in relationship with the people who have passed on in their lives?
It's just a conversation, same way we're having. The
Mm-hmm.
difference is it's telepathically. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I actually can speak out loud. I don't necessarily hear them out loud sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but every once in a while I'll hear my name and it's outside of me. But most of the time it's a telepathic communication, but it's just a conversation. If you want to connect with your loved one, talk to them. Would you connect with someone who wasn't talking to you? No. If they ignored you? No. If they didn't hear you every time you spoke? No. If they didn't trust what you said? No. You would not have a conversation with them. So when you show them you're listening, they're bringing that to you. They're bringing that back in. They're giving you that time and they're listening to you. And you start to have this synergy going. So when I'm talking to someone on the other side, I'm looking for that synergy. I want proof of who I'm talking to because there's a lot of spirits in my room with me and I don't know who they are. I want to know who they are. And then once I establish that, I'm ready to rock. You know, it's like, tell me about yourself. I'm having a conversation. Tell me about yourself. Your loved one's sitting here and I want to know about you so I can tell them what you're telling me. You know, and if you want them to believe you're here, please give the information. And most of the time it comes in through clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it doesn't. You know, it's like
Mm-hmm.
names, they're vibrations, they're not names. And I have to figure out what they're vibrating in that name. And so I always go, sounds like's important. And first, middle, last, because maybe I only heard a piece of it. But I'm hearing it in my head as a vibration. So it's just a different form of communication. Like, how do you talk to your animals? You look at their eyes, you watch their behaviors, you know, you sense something's wrong. You just sense it.
Mm-hmm.
You sense their happiness. You
Mm-hmm.
know they're waiting for you to get home. You're communicating in some way with this creature that you love so vehemently. And so we do it all the time. We just don't recognize it. Or we're sitting next to our loved one and go, "What's wrong? Something's wrong." I didn't tell you anything was wrong. I know something's wrong. We're communicating
Mm-hmm.
energetically. We just don't recognize it as that. We just say, "Well, I just feel like there is." But truly, we're communicating energetically. It's the same thing with them.
Do you feel that you could show us a little bit about what your mediumship abilities in this moment? And if not, so we talked about that. It's good.
Well, I actually felt a couple people around you, but I also wonder if there is someone that's going to be listening to this that this might make sense for. But I
Mm.
actually have a younger person who I know overdosed or was addicted. I don't know who that's going to belong to that listens to this, but what I want them to know is that their loved one is with them. This is a person who is probably 20s, maybe early 30s. This is not an old person, it's not a kid. Um, but it could be someone's child that's going to be listening to this. I feel
Mm.
like they were in trouble. So, in this process, what I mean by that is that they weren't able to stop and they tried. They tried more than once, and I can feel that energy. Um, they love their family and they love music. I hear music playing in the background. So, music is very powerful to them. And I feel like there's like and I'd love to hear from them if this makes sense to someone, maybe a Jaden or something that sounds like that. And it might be the mother that hears this, or a sister, mother or sister. I feel like he really got lost. He really got lost. And don't go by age alone, because sometimes they show me older or younger than they are. I do want to say that. Sometimes they like being at a different age and I see them at that age. So that's something I'm feeling pretty strongly. I also feel an older male around you. So just to share that with you, I feel an older male around you, which I said earlier. And he feels very strong in your energy. I don't know how long you spent your journey with him, if at all, but I feel like he's been calling you in and wants to be in your energy. He feels very knowledgeable, wise. He has a very strong aura around him of healer. So I know that he would care. So in other words, if you were to fall down and hurt yourself, he would have showed up. That kind of thing. He has a very loving energy. I also feel a younger female around you that seems to be very strong in your energy. She feels like she had a tragic loss. What that can mean for me is she died rather rapidly, or something really, really horrifically tragic happened, like a car accident or something like that. And she feels like she's in your energy. She is funny. She lights up a room. She's got this beautiful energy that she can bring into anybody who wants it. She feels very attached to you. This is not someone who is not attached to you. She's very attached to you. She's attached to a lot of people, but she's very attached to you. She has a very bright light around her. She's a prankster. If there's going to be a joke made, she'll make it. She's smart. She's spiritual. And she wanted to be here. And I say that, what that means for me is that she had a happy energy. So I feel that around you. And the fact that you're tapping into ancestors is, could be what I'm gaining right now or receiving right now is ancestors. But I feel like there's more to it than that. I do want to say that. I feel a mother-grandmother figure. I think this is for you. She feels very strong. I wouldn't mess with her. Like she's somebody I wouldn't like get in her face. I wouldn't disrespect her. She's very strong, but she's very loving. I feel love in her heart. She knows where her children are. She's always paying attention, and don't let her down. She's telling me she was sick, and she left because she was sick. And whether it was rapid or not, it was something physical's not right. I'm not right physically. She would cook and clean, do the mom thing. She's doing the mom thing or the grandma thing. She's very into that. She took her job very seriously, and she feels like everybody's mom.
Well, so both of my grandmothers are still alive. It does sound like my one grandmother, but she's still alive. But it could be my great grandmother on her side, who I think also really had a huge impact and influence on her. So
that could be. She feels strong. And then there's a male. I know there's an older male, but there's also someone who isn't old. That's in your energy that is left.
Yeah.
And that's a feeling I have with you. So the older male might be a grandfather, that kind of energy, busy person, very busy, took his life seriously, but had a lot of awareness and clarity. Saying he kind of screwed up and needs to make amends to some people out here. So he had some things he needed to fix,
Mm-hmm.
but took his own life very seriously, is what he's saying. So, yeah.
But yeah, but again, we weren't super close, so that's why I was
Yeah, well,
like
you don't
surprised.
need to be. They're in our energy because they spent time in our lives. And for
Mm,
whatever reason, I know there's someone else around you that wants to tap into you. I can feel
mm,
it, but I can't grab it. And I don't know why. Usually I can grab it and pull it in. So
mm-hmm,
it may be someone distant, that that you, maybe you're even unaware has crossed. I don't
mm-hmm,
know, but it just feels like somebody who wants to be in your energy. And I'm kind of struggling to pull it in, which is
mm-hmm,
unusual for me. Usually it drops right in.
mm-hmm.
Um, but I know that some of the people I just mentioned, there's going to be someone who writes you or comments that that's my child.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so please keep that in mind. Um, and they were just coming in to say, I love you. You've had life losses, not death losses.
What do you mean?
I mean, you've had death losses, but you've had life losses. You've lost people that are still here. Do you understand what I'm saying?
What does that mean? No.
Well,
Give
maybe
me more.
somebody has Alzheimer's, or somebody wasn't in your life that should have been in your life. Somebody just disappeared that should have taken care of or been part of your journey. Life losses. These people are still breathing and alive. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it as being like this major significant thing, but I definitely feel like it's happened to you throughout your journey, little bits and pieces here and there. And again, I could be wrong, but usually what happens is when I do readings is people come on the line and I
Mm-hmm.
read them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not reading the person I'm having, an intellectual conversation with. So it's a little bit harder for me doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Or when I'm off the line, it starts coming. But I don't see, I do want to ask you who lost a child. I need to know who lost a child.
Who lost a child?
This would be possibly in utero, a decision made, or a miscarriage, but it definitely feels that there's a child energy in your environment.
That's so. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know because I mean, I love kids. I want to have kids. So, and if I even accidentally have a kid, I know that I'm. Um, but uh, but no, I mean, because honestly, nobody speaks about that stuff, right? And even my parents,
Oh, that's
they're
true.
not super close with. I mean, I only have one aunt, so I'm thinking maybe the aunt, but they're not even super close. So I don't really. I'm honestly not sure. I'm like, do I know anybody who?
So you don't ask. I thought maybe you'd know. So don't ask.
Oh
But
no, girl.
there there is definitely a child in your family that left. I think in utero. I definitely feel their energy in the family unit, moving around through the family.
I mean, I guess I'll tell you this, but I'm like, I don't think this is it. But I guess when I was a baby, they thought that there was like another, like I was gonna have a twin, and then I didn't. But I don't know. That could be doctors not really. I don't know if that's necessarily it.
It could be. It could be. This is
Mm-hmm.
in utero, and it's definitely attached to your family. And
Mm.
it's obviously attached to you in some way because I'm sitting here saying it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it could very well be. I just know it occurred, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know who that is. And I just want them to know if it's ever brought up that that child
Mm-hmm.
is still around, that spirit is still around. So, I mean, you have a lot of ancestral energy around you that
Mm-hmm.
you have,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not someone I would tap into because you wouldn't know who they were, and you wouldn't know enough about them. You're just starting to learn about them. So there would be no point because I like evidence. So, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
the young man that came through that overdosed, I think his name is Jaden, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's evidence for me when I start to get their names and things like that, and how they died. And that his mom will be listening.
Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
be anxious to hear, and if she does write you, just please to say that, he left the message of love, that he's okay. He's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll let you know when she reaches out to me. Also, I always make sure to do
Thank you.
that. Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. So ancestors, is it because they're too far back, or?
well, you don't have information. So they come
Mm-hmm.
through, but they just kind of come through without evidence. Like, oh, a great aunt's here. Oh, a great grandfather's here. Because if you have evidence of who they are, then I can say, and this is what they're telling me, and you can verify it. But when there's no verification,
Mm-hmm.
strong verification, like your
Mm-hmm.
knowledge verification, not what somebody
Mm-hmm.
wrote about them,
Right.
you don't have a memory with them. So they don't come through with memories. And I want memories,
Mm-hmm.
and I want their personality, but you wouldn't know what their personality was. Now you do your great grandfather. It's interesting how it aligned with what I said about him.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's normal, especially back then. Nobody talks about healing. Like it's like we live in a very different time.
Yeah. Well, there were people in the past that never touched a drop, and there were people that overtouched, and there were people that mildly did, and he
Mhm.
says he overtouched. So anyway,
Well, thank you so much, Susan.
thank you for having me. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? Anything?
Look, honestly,
You're so
there's
adorable.
there's so much. I don't know how much. Do you have extra time?
If you have
Yeah,
some questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
girl. Okay, okay. Because again, so let's go back real quick. So going back to thank you so much for your time. So I really appreciate it because everything that you said, like the first like 20 minutes of this show, I'm like, I had so many questions, not even questions about, but just like alignments. Alignments is
Yeah,
like the biggest thing.
I love
Um,
that.
Recently I went to Thailand, and I go to Thailand pretty like every couple years now. Like there was so I do a lot of investigating with like master monks when I go there. I go to different monasteries and I try to not even I try to find, I just attract connections to these monks. Literally, some of them live in the middle of the mountains where you can't even get to by public transportation. Like it's really crazy. But one of them that I talked to, and actually this was over Zoom through a translator. Like it's really funny. Like technology is so great now, because like if 20
Cool.
years ago you couldn't do this. Monks didn't have Zoom, right? Like anyway.
Right.
So it was nice because it saved me, a whole 3-day trip, instead. So anyway, but one of the things that he was saying was kind of speaks to one of the things he said earlier. He was saying everybody chooses decides, and they live their whole life doing this. And he's like, this is not how we're supposed to live. We're supposed to allow things to come to us. And he had this, what did he say? He was like, when is a choice not a choice? And he's like, when you don't choose, and people need to stop choosing. And this is like the issue that a lot of people, are having right now. They're choosing, deciding, okay, I either have to do this or do this. I have to go to college or join the military, or I have to, you know, work at McDonald's, or I have to work at Safeway. I don't, whatever the choice is, people
Yeah.
choose. And he's like, this is not how we're supposed to experience here. Like this is, I don't want to say supposed to, right? Because I think there's a time and a place for every experience. Like if you really get to like, if you want to get technical about it. But he was just really emphasizing that, like, just stop choosing and just let it come to you. And I think he just spoke to something that you had talked about earlier.
It's a really strong feeling in me. It's, like when you said, when is a choice not a choice when you stop choosing? I've heard that before, and it's very powerful because it's what, in different words, I've heard it. But the same concept. And it's extremely important to recognize that when you let go and allow, things come to as they're meant to. It's when we bang our head against the wall and forget that they bust and block everything, that they're going to block it. But we're the kind of people, our brains go, this is what it needs to look like. And I will bang my head against this wall because I know. And then we'll have everybody come and do it with us. So everybody's supporting our banging our head against the wall. And we're going to get through it, battered and bruised at best, or we're going to shift. And a choice to let go and allow is a hard part. I don't do it all the time. I don't trust it all the time. But when I do it, I come to peace, and it works itself out always. But I'm so busy trying to figure out what it's supposed to look like, because that makes
Mm-hmm.
me feel safe, but it's not. It's a lie.
Yeah.
You know, the true safety lies with letting go and
Yeah.
trusting that there's something bigger than us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people fight that knowledge. Well, what if there isn't something bigger than us, then it won't matter. So why not just believe it and allow yourself to step into it? I happen to know there is, but not everyone has that ability to understand that. So I tell them it can't hurt you. It can only help you. If you feel that you've got a partner in crime here, somebody's helping you live your life, what can it do to damage you? But a choice it's only a choice when you let go and allow.
It's a tough lesson. Like, this is like, for me, this is the biggest lesson. I'm hopefully coming to an end about, well, I say hopefully, I guess at this point, I can't decide. I'm not going to be able to control it. So, but it's been a couple years that I've been just really like faith being tested over and over and over and over again. And it's really frustrating, but I know it's for a reason. And I know at the end of the day, we both experience this because we have to teach other people, because and it really with, I don't know if you're into astrology, but with Pluto and Aquarius, the next 20 years, everybody's going to be forced to come to this at some point within the next 20 years, the whole world. And so, and I think like, I think it's obviously for a reason, right? But it's hard, girl, because it's like this society really brainwashed us.
Oh boy, it did. Wow. Oh my God.
Good job. Like A+.
Yeah. You're gonna get scored here. This is a hard place to be. It is the hardest place, but it's also the greatest of lessons. And like I was saying, pain is my best motivator for change. I want out of it. So it also teaches me so much, because I'm going to find the solutions, because I don't want to be in pain. And I've had plenty of it and I don't like it. But I always know when it comes my way that I'm going to be learning something valuable, and that I'll become more because of it, not in spite of it. And that's really an important statement, because we go, well, because this happened to me, with that in spite feeling. Yeah. That's not the way to look at it. I say, because of this, I get to be this. I get to be a healer because I've had so much loss, and I get to be a grief healer because I know grief. And I get to help people that are suicidal or that have lost people to suicide because I've had it. So that's so empowering for me. And all I have to do is the next right step. People say, we all say, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? I don't know what to do. And I say, just do the next right step. If that means you clean your house, you clean your house. I don't care what it is. Wash your toilet. Do something to move yourself through. You have to move through pain and learn to grow in it. And you can't grow in it if you're not moving through it. And what we do is we get stagnant and we hold on to it because we're so afraid if we release it, something horrible is going to come in front of us, some knowledge or some overwhelmed feeling. We're already feeling it. We just don't want to recognize that. So we're trying to avoid it, but my life is so interesting. Sometimes I'll be sitting in my room or this room, and all of a sudden I'll just see a spirit walk in. I just watch them walk in. I mean, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, what? And they'll start telling me, oh, you're going to see my wife tomorrow. She's coming to you. Her name's Anna. I mean, they give me unbelievable detail. And then the next day, here comes Anna, and I go, did your husband die from aneurysm? And, did he call you Annie Banani or, whatever it is? And she's like, yes. How did you know that? I don't know. How did I know that? So, we all have imposter syndrome here because our brains get in the way. We all doubt. We all have lack of trust. That's all normal, but we always beat ourselves up over it. We're always saying, we're always saying, what's wrong with me? I don't believe in myself. Well, no one does all the time. We got to lighten up here. We got to lighten up on ourselves and just move through the journey without so much condemnation, because we get enough. We don't need any more. It's all around us. So it's like, just move through the journey and start creating and fulfilling what you're wanting for your journey, and just allow it to come to you. Just allow it to flow through you. But when your guard's up all the time, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's one thing I've really been, I think, 2 years ago when I was like introduced to this concept of like allowing things to come to me, I was like, okay, I'll do it. But I wasn't really doing it. And then this year I was like, okay, you know what? This is what came to me. I don't see how at all this relates to, my purpose in this life, or not my purpose, I don't want to say it's one true purpose, because I really do believe we all, like, this kind of cool thing about being human, we can experience like multiple like purposes, timelines, all in one, which is so
Yes.
dope. Like it's so cool. Like if I want, I can be a sailor. I can be, who has their own sailboat. I can be, a stewardess if I really want to be a student. You can really pick and choose. Like it's so
Yeah.
cool. So, but I'll just tell you. So right now I'm learning coding and I'm like, I have no clue, but this is something that came to me. So this was, so I was like, I don't have no clue how this relates to, one of the purposes that I want to fulfill. But you know what? It came to me. It came to me with ease and I have to follow it. And even though I like committed today, there's still times where I'm like, what am I doing? This was not like, this was not the move. Like,
Yeah. I do the same thing. It's
like
like,
this.
what was I thinking? What am I,
Yeah.
I don't even have a clue what I was thinking. This is too rough. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
it was like, because it was one of the things I was like, oh, it came to me, so I'm going to trust it. And like, but then logically, my logical brain is like, nah, you messed up. Like, it's just like, this, this was not it. See what's happening to your bank
Yeah.
account? Like, this is not, yeah.
And we kids have to keep in mind that this is our enemy. Yeah. The enemy has stepped in. That's what I say. I always tell myself this is a dangerous neighborhood to go in alone. My mind. Get out of it,
Right,
and get into your soul source. Your soul source is connecting to your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you want to be in. Does my intuition tell me this is my next right step? Or is my mind talking me out of it? Just get out of it. It's not going to help you. It's only going to help you when you're doing math or astrology. It helps with astrology because it's mathematical. There's different, but then you still have to expand into your soul to get the right information. It's not going to just flow to you without that. You have to be connected. For someone to think that there's a disconnect and all we are is this blob of body and flesh is so confusing to me because we're all so individualized and we all are so one in that individualization. We're all one. We're all one consciousness. What I think goes out to you. What you think comes out to me. And we are moving that energy around at all times. And yet we're individualized by our skin, by our guts, whatever, maybe my stomach has, one more organ that shouldn't be in there that, or maybe you lost an organ, probably not a good example, but nonetheless, kind of, what did I just say? How did that make sense?
Like,
that didn't make any sense at all. But you know what I'm saying? Like we're all individualized in our makeup. Like I have every hair on my body is different than every hair in your body. We're individualized is what I'm trying to say. So it has a different makeup, a different DNA in it, a different, whatever. So that is something to think about. However, as a consciousness, we all have hair on our bodies. That's a good way to put it, like we all have that. It's just, that is our consciousness. That's our conscious being. And so we are one consciousness. It's just that we don't recognize that. So what I put out comes back in. And as I'm putting it out, it's flowing back through me. And these are my life lessons, But the spirit world is pure love, pure guidance, pure light. And we blame them. Something goes wrong and we go, why would they take them from me? Or why did that have to happen? And I think when it goes right, we go, thank you so much. It's like neither one are accurate. Neither one are accurate. We're making choices and decisions here that guide us into our greatest good and our greatest expansion. And we are here for free will. So if we do a contract and they do exist, maybe I contract that my soul wants to resonate the understanding of being married, I'll be married. Who I marry, how long I marry, the kind of marriage I have is free will for my soul to grow and expand. And it's like that with anything. But when something goes wrong, we blame them. When something goes right, we thank them. And it's like, they're the best. Oh, I hate them. How could they do this to me? Oh, I'm so glad they gave that to me. So like we play this game because we think it makes us feel safe. When in truth, they're there for our greatest good at all times, good, bad, or indifferent. They're always for our greatest good. They are pure love. And it's hard for us to even conceptualize that. We hear the word love and we go, oh yeah, he broke my heart. He cheated on me. He this, he that, not my jam, right? He didn't do my jam. But truthfully, if you think about it, It makes no sense. So we have to go back to, I am here to have an experience, a human experience with a soul. My soul is meant to grow in that human experience. And when that human experience is over, my soul still exists, because why would it need to grow if it didn't? And that moves on. Our heart has 40,000 neurites in it. It has learning capacity, memory capability. It is where our soul seats. It is neurologically been tested enough to know that it speaks to the brain more than the brain speaks to the heart, and that it is considered a mini brain. Now, if you think about that for a minute, we have a soul that is a mini brain that doesn't have all this crap in it. So what goes with us? We have a heart that is capable of learning and carrying memory, the memories we need. Our brain remembers every single detail because it's our safety mechanism for our bodies to work on this planet. So our soul is seating in our heart space. And when we leave here, the heart and the soul blend. And the soul takes those memories, because we don't need all this. And then when we decide to come back, you know, people say, I'm never coming back. I'm telling you right now, I'm never coming back. I hate this place. I'm never coming back. And I kind of smile at them, because I tell them, if I were to tell you that you could feel every gamut to the depth of emotion, be it love, be it hate, be it war, be it peace, but to the fullest. So you're going to feel that love when your baby's put in your arms, and the first time you fall in love, and the first time you get touched, and the first time you make love, and the first time you get married. You're going to feel all of that. And with that comes difficulties. But it's a blip. The whole thing is a blip. I wouldn't turn it down. I'd be like, let's rock. I'm ready to rock. Because I want to know all those other emotions too. I want to understand. And that's the curiosity of the spirit, the spirit that we carry. So very few people turn it down. They don't have to come, but very few would turn that down. Especially if we don't understand the depth of it. You know, that grief is going to be really deep, but so is love. Yeah. There are special moments in our lives that will never, ever be taken away from us, that are the ultimate experience. The ultimate. And I would not give that experience up because I'm grieving this experience. I would never give that experience up. So when we recognize that, we stop fighting the process, basically, and accepting that we are meant to feel all of those emotions, and chances are you'll come back.
Being human is very special. Like, a lot of Buddhists believe that only the best of the best. I won't say the best of the best, but really it is. It's literally, they believe that only if you have achieved some level of like good karma from wherever you're from, then you can come into Earth. It's not just anybody and everybody's coming to Earth. It's not. It's literally like the cream of the crop, like royalty comes to Earth. Like, it's not, it's not just anybody. And so, like, with that made me start to think, oh, it's a privilege to be here. It's not just a privilege too. I think we're one of the only, you could correct me if I'm wrong too, but I think we're the only being that really has the ability to go low and to go as high, if we wanted to go, to even go up to, I don't want to say it's not really up to the level of God, but I would say you kind of circle back to that energy. I don't know how else to explain it, but that's the way I can.
Yeah. You reincorporate, you join together. Yes. But we have to be at that high vibration in order to do so. And how do you get to a higher vibration? Experience. It's the only way. People ask me what the hierarchy is on the other side, and I tell them the hierarchy is love. It's the only hierarchy. And it's the same thing here. But learning to love ourselves is the hardest thing we'll ever do. I can love you. I don't know how to love myself half the time. It is so difficult because we have been brainwashed into believing that we are ego-driven, or whatever else we're brainwashed to believe, that it's wrong to have self-love. And it's just now shifting, where people say, loving yourself is really important. And I look at them, my generation, unfortunately, is not taught that. So, in the beauty of the younger generation, what I love about the younger generation is that they are learning the capacity, or have the capacity, to truly unconditionally love and acceptance of others. It's amazing to me. It's just not everywhere. If you go back, and no offense to my age bracket, but if you go back in time, that doesn't exist. Rarely do you find that. So, my joy about being here now is that there's a shift. Does that mean that everyone is good? No. Does it mean that people don't harm? No. But people that have the capacity, let's say the average individual, or I'm going to use this word sparingly, the normal, the normie, they actually do love unconditionally. And they know how to say, whatever you are, whatever you want to be, I love you through it. I may not agree, but I love you through it. Where it used to be, I don't agree, nor do I love you and I want you in my life. I'm just like, and I understand sometimes we have to put the boundaries up of, you're not healthy and it's toxic for me and I need to put up a boundary. I understand that. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just simple love. And so I have so much respect for the younger generations. I'm going to be 66, right? I have so much respect for them because I see where they're headed. And they're headed where I always wanted the world to be, because I wanted to be in that world. I'm so fortunate to be alive right now because I wanted to be in the world that was spirit-led, not human-led.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing that shift happening. And it's amazing.
But I do love that about my experience too, is that because when I was younger, there's no internet. Like I was hearing, if you tell somebody you're hearing voices, they think you're crazy. Like I couldn't tell my parents, hey, I thought I heard, like I couldn't communicate that. I couldn't even tell my friends. I think the weirdest thing that I did was tell people about my dreams. And it's like, now, it's people want to talk about their dreams.
Yes.
But it's like back then it wasn't really a thing. I mean, luckily I always found one or two people who were like my close friends who I could talk to about this stuff.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't like judge me, but it is really cool to experience that shift and to see that shift.
Yes. I mean, I'm on the cusp, right. The first set of, the boomers being gone, basically. And, the early 60s type, where it was shifting again. And I don't feel like a boomer at all. I'm like night and day to them. I feel like I connect into the younger people, the younger generation, not because I think I'm one, but because I think like them.
Mm-hmm.
And people always tell me that, and I'm proud of that. I smile and go, I'm so happy because I want to connect into that beauty of acceptance. And that's who I am. And I never really fit into the older generation the same because they were judgment generations.
Yeah.
Full on. And that doesn't mean they didn't have good, because they did. There's a lot of good to them. They did a lot of wise things. They led the path for others, especially for women. They led the path for growth and expansion. But spiritually, I don't feel like I'm part of that. I feel very much like I'm part of the love-based generation. And I'm so grateful for that, because that's, at the end of the day, that is the number one lesson we have to learn, is love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's a hard lesson to learn here. Like, it's just like,
you're speaking to the choir, I can't believe how hard it is for me to connect into people who just can love you and not judge you. And also for me, I mean, I can go to judgment and I have to catch myself and go, where did this come from? Like, why am I doing this? But, that's not what the spirit world wanted for us. They didn't want us to walk around being hateful and mean and causing damage. They wanted us to grow and expand. And the only way to grow and expand is to be a loving being and to raise your vibration, because it is the highest vibration. It's the only thing that will raise it properly. And here we are going around grumpy and, flipping everybody off on the freeway. And I mean, it's just bizarre to me. It just blows my mind. I'm never going to relate to that. But that's, I think it's a defense mechanism of some sort. But I know the spirit world wants peace. And, I'm going to say this before we we stop. They are the author of peace and clarity. The spirit world is not the author of chaos and confusion. And if you can remember that, you'll know when they're talking to you. It's like when you get your brain around that, it's, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And you'll know when it's them. Like, how do I know if it's myself or them? Well, I'm not always the author of peace and clarity. I can be the author of chaos, And so I just know it's them then. I don't have to question it. But it was really nice talking with you.
It was great talking to you too, Susan. I would love to have you on because
Yeah, I would love to come back on and talking about that because I've
yeah.
survived a lot. I was actually, if you've read the book or have had, the trafficking and everything, it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
so that's why
I'm open, wide open. People can ask me anything. I'm not afraid to talk about it at all.
Thank you. No, I think it would be really powerful. Yeah, because there's a whole. I don't know if you're Do you know your astrology chart?
I don't. I want it so bad. I had someone do it for me years ago, and he told me I was going to be a medium, and I laughed at him and threw the thing away. I'm so mad at myself now because he said all the things that I'm doing, I was going to be doing. It's what I was here for, and I didn't even know. I didn't believe him.
But it's okay. There's a time and place for everything. I mean, like I said, like I had several people confirmations that I'm supposed to be like a medium or channeling, but I'm not trying to push for it. I just don't see the point. And all of my friends who like had their mediumship activated, it seemed intense. So I was just like, I think I can wait.
It's intense.
Yeah.
And it depends upon your vibrational energy. Like last night, I didn't sleep good. And so my vibration's not as high as usual. It changes our connection. So it's really based on a lot of different things.
Okay.
Truly. But I would love to come back and talk about survival. And I hope this has some good juice in it for you to put out there. I truly do.
Oh, yeah.
And let me know if this young man's mother ends up, claiming it.
I will definitely let you know. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Susan.
Please
make sure to check out her freebie. We got an extra long conversation today, but please make sure to check out her freebie. Links in the description below. And as always, do you have any last words you'd like to say before we head off?
I have a subscriber site that I don't put out there a lot, but it's called Infinite Soul Sanctuary. Everything I do is infinite. Infinite Soul Sanctuary. And please, if you haven't read my book, please get it because it will surprise you what you will learn from it.
Yes. And it's like, that's the other thing too, y'all. Like when you read Susan's book, it's like not just learning about Susan's journey, but she also guides you. How do I want to put this? She also guides you to learn about your own journey, like having like a deeper dive within yourself. So yeah, definitely check it out. It's kind of like a 2-for-1. I really love it. I love how you wrote it and organized it. But okay, guys, as always, I will see y'all next week. I love y'all so much. Peace.